We are used to disappointment recently with the our Boston Bruins, and a lot of people not thrilled with how this playoff situation is shaking itself out. What do you feel of the probable matchup of the Bruins at Tampa Bay?
Well, I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are probably the team in the playoffs that, in the Eastern Conference that will be the underdog that nobody wants to play. And for good reason. I mean, listen, their high end talent is probably better than high end talent anywhere else in the conference, to be honest with you. When you're talking about Kucherov and Point and Stamkos and Hedman and these guys, right? But it thins out in a big way until you get to Vasilevsky. Obviously, Vasilevsky might be the best goalie going. We don't know. I mean, well, he's got to prove it again. He continues to prove it, but you have to believe that he's going to continue to do it because he's been one of the best playoff goalies of all time. So I don't love the matchup, to be honest with you. But I will say that goaltending looks like the Bruins can match it, at least from what they have, which not a lot of teams can say with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I in depth wise, I think Boston probably has an advantage. It's just the high end talent. You're going to have to shut down that high end talent to be able to win this series, and that's over the course of a 7-game series. I got to think that Nikita Kucherov and Stamkos and Hedman and Braden Point are going to have a say. Can you shut them down enough without, I mean, you need Pasternak to be great, but you don't have them. You can't match that high-end talent. So you have to be able to shut it down. That's got to be the focus. I will say that the Boston Bruins this season, their focus has been doing a good job of shutting down other teams because they do not have a dynamic offense outside of Pasternak, really. So they have a chance, but I don't love the matchup especially with the way the Tampa Bay Lightning have been playing of late.
So I know that Tampa Bay was dealing with some injuries earlier in the season. What else got them into this position now where they're viewed as an underdog? Because I think the same way. This is not the team I wanted them to face in any round. How did they find themselves in this position at this point in the season?
Well, I mean, listen, they didn't have Andre Vasilevsky for about the first 6-7 weeks of the season, right? He had the back surgery, so that put them behind. They didn't really have a great backup plan because you've had Vasilevsky for so long, and he's the rare guy now in the NHL where you can ride him, and when you don't have him, it hurts, and that definitely hurt them. And I think for a while there, they lost Mikhail Sergachev. He remains out. They definitely had injury issues, and it's been so top heavy for the Lightning this season that at the start, I think, other teams feeling really good, everybody's going, whatnot. And because it's earlier in the season, plus you don't have your goalie, it was hard for them to match up at times. And I thought we saw that. Again, Kucherov was doing his thing, Stamkos scoring goals, Point was generating opportunities and whatnot. But beyond that, it wasn't much. As the season grinded along, I think what we saw was a championship pedigree, number one, jump out. And number two, other teams started dealing with injuries. Other teams started dealing with wear and tear. And it became way harder for them when they went in to play the Lightning to shut down Kucherov, to shut down Stamkos, because those guys would get their numbers. They would start putting it up. And now you also had Vasilevsky behind you, too, to make the saves, to make that one or two extra saves that Jonas Johansson was not making at the start of the season because he's Andre Vasilevsky, and that's what he does. So it's almost like the rest of the league caught up to what the Lightning were going through, and then the Lightning's high-end guys started to take over more because the rest of the league thinned out a little bit as well.
You brought up goaltending. That's been a good discussion point here in Boston. It looks like Jim Montgomery's going to go with a goaltending rotation, which is almost unheard of in the playoffs. What are your feelings on that?
I don't like it. I don't like it. I understand it. In today's game, I do think it's something we may see more and more and more as the years go on. I do think that's a possibility just because, you look at today's game, it's very rare that you're getting the guy getting the 60 starts anymore and you ride your number one all the way through. A lot of times, you talk to anybody around the league now, they'll tell you, forget about two goalies, you need three, right? And it's just, the nature of the position, the nature of the schedule. It's condensed. I understand the shooters are great. And they've went with this, rotation pretty much all year. And it's hard to argue with the results. I mean, heck, they're like basically similar results, right? I mean, you look at Swayman, he's got a 2.56 and a 9.15. And Olmark's got a 2.55 and a 9.17. So it's hard to argue with it. But I think from a mental point of view, I don't want a goalie looking over his shoulders in game one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that unless he knows, regardless of what I do in game one, the other guy's getting the start in game two, which to me doesn't make sense either. I just I don't think it's the best from a mental standpoint. It takes a lot more mental energy to deal with that. And the goalie's already dealing with so much mental energy to begin with. He's putting up physical and mental energy that I think I want to identify my guy. And in this case, with this season, even though it's very close, I think the guy is Swayman. And I want to tell him, you are it. You are the guy. And you have to explain, you shouldn't have to explain it to Olmark. Like, listen, Swayman's the guy. That's what we're doing. Like it or not, that's what we're doing. Be ready. And if Swayman falters, you got your other guy ready. But I think you still have to give him a longer leash. You got to give him the same leash that, say, the Lightning are going to give Vasilevsky or the Rangers are going to give Shesterkin. So, if not, he's going to be looking over his shoulders because I just think that's the human instinct.
Why Swayman over Olmark? Because that's kind of the opposite of what's been thought around here. Is everyone since the All-Star break thinks Olmark's been better?
Maybe, but I just like Swayman's Swaymark. You see what I did there?
Oh, wow. It's like a celebrity couple name.
Wow. I know. Maybe we'll steal it.
It wasn't even an attempt, but yeah.
We're going to steal it because now during the playoffs, we're going to call it Swaymark.
Now it's a thing.
When they lose in 5 to Tampa.
Right. Come on. They're better than that. You know what it is? I think I like Swayman's. I like his energy. I like his, swagger. He's got that. It's got that it factor for me, and he hasn't been bad, since the All-Star break. Allmark's been good, but there's a little bit of that it factor for me with Swayman when you go into the playoffs. Like, look across and be like, I'm the man, and I think he has that, and maybe that's just to me what sets him apart. And this is, again, it's not a knock on Linus Ullmark. I'm not saying that is the case. I just look at Jeremy Swayman and I'm like, if I want to ride in a playoffs, that's the guy I want to ride with just because of the attitude he has.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dan Rosen, you don't like the Bruins with the Tampa Bay matchup. Who do you like coming out of the East this year?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been picking against the Bruins pretty much all season, and I've been wrong. So I will put that. I mean, they continue to get it done, which is really, remarkable. I picked the Carolina Hurricanes at the start of the season. I was Dallas, Carolina in the Stanley Cup Final at the start of the season. I love the way the Dallas Stars are playing, and minus last night. And I'm sticking with Carolina. The addition of Jake Gensel has given them a dynamic aspect. Another guy who's just going to drive the net, be smart, go to the smart areas. They're another team. Got to pick a goalie and ride with them a little bit, I think. And if they're able to do that, I do like the Hurricanes. The Rangers, to me, they're a very dangerous team, and they're probably the other team I'd be looking at right now. But since I went with Carolina in the preseason, and I love the way the Hurricanes have been playing lately, and I just, the way that they play a relentless attack style, I like them. Here's the thing with Carolina, though. It's a lot of one-on-one hockey around the ice, and if they mess up in all of that, then they're scoring chances against. They rarely do, but they don't have a lot of help defense because guys are playing one-on-one around. If they can continue to play that strong one-on-one style hockey and keep guys away from the net, I like the Carolina Hurricanes.
All right, there you have it. Dan Rosen, thanks for the time. Read him on NHL.com. We appreciate it.